Well, Betsy John came up with the name for this about, I think, a month ago or 3 weeks ago, and this song has been stuck in my head ever since. Talk about an earworm. So my apologies and welcome to my world. So welcome, team captains. Let's go ahead and start getting into what we're going to be discussing this evening, because we hope that you have lots of questions that we can talk through as part of this. So as you see, there is our 2024, somebody's coming in, 2024 logo on our left, and the agenda here on our right is what we're going to be talking about this evening. So we're going to go over an overview of just what to expect from this year's Buddy Walk, so you can feel prepared and feel like you're preparing your team. Talking about engaging community sponsors, fundraising events, recruiting team members, talking through the team incentives. So Amy will walk us through those and answer any questions that you have about those. Tori's going to talk about some first timer tips. So Tori is our programs expert, and this is her first time as a Buddy Walk team captain. So she kind of took a look with those fresh eyes to figure out what is it that was the most helpful to her as a first timer to pull out. So she'll do a highlight on those. Betsy John is going to be collecting all the questions that you'll have through the chat throughout this evening, so that we can make sure that we take a, there we go. Actually, I guess I can admit folks too. And she's going to make sure that we answer all your questions before we wrap up. And then Liza's going to take us through a summary of everything that you have learned this evening. And I just realized that we need to start recording if it's going to let me. Oh, wait, we already are recording, I think.
I got you.
Thank you. I'm the worst about forgetting that piece. So we are recording this. So if you do have any friends who weren't able to make it this evening, we do have a recording we will have a recording after this to be able to send to folks who registered. So make sure that they look for that. And we can also share these resources and answer any questions. If we do run out of time, we'll make sure to answer any questions via email too. So we plan to take good care of you this evening and going forward, so that you feel nice and prepared for the next month as we prepare for Buddy Walk.
Christy, a quick question. I don't see that the chat is available, and it might be how I'm set up to use this, or it might be just me, but I don't see that chat is an option for submitting questions.
That's a great question, Liz.
You should. I just sent the chat out to everybody to drop the questions. So there should be a chat. So it must be how you entered. Sometimes if you enter, and this is one of our Teams kind of switch ups, if you entered through the app of Teams versus through your browser, not all your features are accessible. But feel free, if you even have a post-it note or can capture, if you don't have chat, if you want to go out and back in, you can. We are going to have some time built in to answer those questions. So even if you like to start a little document, but yes, the chat should be available, but just let us know any questions that you still have, Liz, or anybody else that might not have that chat feature. There is a kind of lag in what you have access to based on app versus web-based.
Glad you know that, Betsy John. All right, so talking about the overview of what to expect for Buddy Walk. So here are some wonderful photos of Buddy Walk 2023. You might see some familiar faces in there. Sarah's joining us this evening, and I can see her with little baby Al last year and her husband Quentin. That was our 25th annual Buddy Walk. So this is our 26th annual Triangle Buddy Walk that we'll be doing this year. This is our biggest fundraiser of the year for NCDSA. And I think of it as part family reunion, part tailgate. There's lots of hugging. There's lots of fun. There's a ton to do. I have been coming to this since 2018, and I actually have yet to make it all the way around the Buddy Walk because there are too many people to hug and too many things to look at as you go. So pace yourselves. This is a time for us to celebrate our loved ones with Down syndrome as well as our community. My biggest recommendation, if you haven't been to one before, is to dress comfortably, and please leave your pets at home. So unless you have a service animal, we do not have pets there at the event. So please make sure to tell your teammates that. It is something that we publicize, so that it's not a surprise if somebody shows up with their dog, but it is something that often gets overlooked. So please help us spread the word about that, as well as making sure that you're dressed comfortably for the day. So if you did not join us last year at Sug Farm, just as you can see in these photos, it's an open field. There's not a ton of shade outside of the tents, so sunscreen is usually a good idea. Just be mindful of the weather when you get dressed and anything that you pack for the day. There's going to be porta potties. Probably, hopefully no surprise there, but just heads up. They're nice porta potties. I will say I've spent more time than I would care to admit in them, but my son likes to check out bathrooms. I don't know if anybody else has a kid who's into checking out bathrooms, but that is a Kellen thing. There's also going to be some uneven terrain. For the most part, I find that this is pretty easy to navigate, but just keep that in mind when you're packing things up as far as what you're bringing or giving anybody a heads up who might have some mobility issues so they feel prepared. And there's not a ton of shade. So again, keep that in mind when you're planning. So if you want to bring a tent, some folks will get tents depending on what fundraising level they reach, which Amy will talk about later in the incentives, but you may want to bring your own covering with you or bring hats. So just keep all of that in mind. I'm hoping for a nice sunny day like last year, but maybe like 5 degrees cooler than last year. As far as wouldn't that be lovely? As far as the schedule for the day, the walk is from 1 to 5, or the event is from 1 to 5. The walking portion of it, when we actually do our little loop and take a look at these amazing route marker photos, that will start at 3:21. So we every year find that there are folks coming in really close to that time, the walk time. But I highly recommend coming closer to 1 when it opens so that you can actually fully experience it. Like I said before, I can't get through the whole buddy walk every year because there's so much going on. So if you can encourage your team to come earlier, they'll have a better chance of being able to take advantage of more of what we have going on that day. So before we get into Jeff and Heather, our fundraising experts here, I did want to know, and Liz, please tell me if you're not able to raise your hand, but hopefully you all have an option to actually raise your hand if you go to the top of your screen and let us know how you feel about fundraising. Are you in the camp from on the left here where you're not even sure how to start? Or are you in the camp on the right here where you are ready to go? And of course, it's not going to show me. Betsy John, are you able to see it? I see 1. I see Casey. Are you in Camp A, Casey? You can unmute if you don't mind.
On the left?
Yep.
Yes.
Where do we start? All right, Liz, what's up?
Yeah, I'm also in the I can ask friends and family, but outside of that, and I'm pretty terrible at fundraising because I hate asking people for money. And family yelled at me in past years, but other than sending out an email, I'm stuck. So,
I hate to hear about the yelling.
You're not the only one.
Friendly yelling, but they're just
friendly.
Like, friendly yelling too. I'm like, oh, I didn't want to bother you.
We got some in-betweeners coming in the chat, Christy.
Oh, good. All right. Well, before I pass this over to Jeff and Heather, I feel like I sit in between these two camps sometimes. It's like I've gotten into kind of a groove with the way that I do this, but I want to do more and expand my approach, which they're going to talk about because they're so good at it. And I land right in the middle here of, oh man, how do I even get started? It feels so overwhelming. So we asked Jeff Lineberry and Heather Harrell to come. They are the top 2 fundraisers so far, unless somebody's going to come overtake them, which you never know at the last second. So they're going to talk a little bit about their success with individual donors and as well as their corporate sponsors. So Jeff and Heather, please take it away.
Sounds good. Well, thanks everybody for being here tonight. Heather, would you like me to start or would you like to start?
Yeah, I don't mind going ahead and starting. I think a lot of information, mine and Jeff kind of overlap. But last year I had a really big success with the Facebook fundraiser. This is our 3rd buddy walk. First year I was still pregnant. So we didn't do a whole lot of fundraising that year. So last year was Ellie's first year at the Buddy Walk. And I think just the newness of Ellie, her diagnosis, we got a lot of donations through the Facebook fundraiser. Super easy to set up on Facebook, throw a cute picture up, and people share. You're able to interact and thank them on Facebook, which I think gets your post more seen in the newsfeed on Facebook. And then when people donate on Facebook, then they're also able to share that they donated. So then it just kind of trickles down, and then their friends see the fundraiser that's going as well. So we did really well last year on the Facebook fundraiser. I've told a couple of people, I feel like this year our friends on Facebook have kind of fizzled out. They probably see, okay, they're doing good. So we haven't seen as much support on the Facebook fundraiser this year. But if you've not done a Facebook fundraiser before, I highly recommend, because again, we did have a lot of success with that last year. And I do think the Facebook fundraiser is easy for people to click on, and they have the option to donate through PayPal. So they don't have to get up and get their card out of their wallet when they just go directly to the website to donate. And then as far as asking for sponsors, we just ask anybody and everybody. My husband has a lot of customers that hear about Ellie all the time. So we just ask that, they hear him talk about her day to day. And so we just ask them, hey, this is a really great organization. Do you mind supporting our family, other families in our community? And honestly, we've not been told no. Anytime we've asked for a sponsor, they have been willing to donate. We ask our CPA, our financial advisor, our tax guy, any local people in the community that we do business with, we ask them. A lot of times I will take a packet of information. I've printed off a photo of Ellie, and just, reasons to support us. Then I have like a sheet printed of the sponsorship level information. And then the sponsor form and everything. I know Jeff does things a little bit different, so you'll hear his side of things too, but take your child into the businesses that you're asking to sponsor, because when they see our kiddos, like, it is hard for them to say no when they're right there face to face. So those have been our two biggest successes so far.
So I would say for me, Facebook fundraisers had never been a big source of revenue for me for whatever reason. I've only run one my first year and it didn't do that well, so I didn't do it after that. I do see other teams having great success with the Facebook fundraiser. So I would definitely encourage everybody to do that. What I've started doing with fundraising is putting up like a post on Facebook, is putting up a post, and I'll sort of tell, like, what has NCDSA done for our family? Why are they important, to us? What difference are they making in the community? And then I'll typically close that post with a link to our Buddy Walk team page, which, if they click on that, then they can donate through the site. So that's typically how I've seen Facebook. My success with Facebook hasn't been great, but I do see other teams out there crushing it on Facebook. So I'd encourage you to do that. The way that I target individuals for fundraising is, I will put up those posts on Facebook. My first year or two, when I was sort of building out my donors, I would send direct messages on Facebook too. What I found sometimes, I think, is putting up the post in and of itself on Facebook is casting a wide net. But just like a school of fish, you're not sort of singling out that person. So they feel like they can sort of swim with the school and not necessarily engage with your post. So people that I know fairly well on Facebook, I'll actually send them like a direct message through Facebook and say, hey, didn't know if you saw my post. We're fundraising for NCDSA. They've been a huge help to us. If you can, please support us. Are you guys able to hear me okay? Okay. Yep. I will also call people too, like, close friends, people that I know, things like that. I've got their phone number. I'll actually go into my contact list on my phone, and I will go through every single contact. And I'm
They're
like,
saying it's my speakers.
yeah, it must be, Cindy. Yeah. So I'll go actually through my contact list, because if I just try to think of people, I can't think of everybody. So I'll go through my contact list. I'll shoot them a text message, or I'll just give them a call, stuff like that, tell them about it. One function that I think is very underutilized, because I don't hear many people talking about it, is through the DS Stride website. When you log in under your Captain login, you'll see a little tab across the top that says email. If you're a returning team, so you've returned, it's your second year beyond, and you've come back in and you've reclaimed sort of your account in there, all of your past donors and all of your past team members are saved in there. And there's even block emails that you can send that are already written for you, and you can send it to your entire donor list from last year, and they'll get an email right to their inbox with that email, the link to your team, all of that. Now, don't do what I did and write the custom email, forget to include the team link, because then I had to send a second one right after that. I felt pretty stupid. But also, and I know we'll talk about, getting new team members, but there's also a past team members function in there as well that you can do the same thing with. So that's what's worked for me as far as individuals go. I'll also sort of recruit family members to help me as well. My stepmother's a big advocate for NCDSA and for my daughter Hannah, and she will send emails out to her list of friends. So they'll engage. Some of my siblings will post something on Facebook as well to try to get donations. And what I've found with the individual donations is not any one thing that generates this huge cash cow of donations coming in. It's all of these little things that then add up at the end. So I would try all those kind of things on the individual side. As far as sponsorship goes with companies, I own my own company, and I've got a lot of clients, and I reach out to a lot of them about donating. I also cold call other organizations as well. And what that looks like is sometimes you got to chase the contact. So you call in, and maybe it's a car dealership, right? And they're like, oh, well, you need to talk to our marketing department. Let me transfer you through. I'm like, okay, well, who's the person in the marketing department I'm going to talk to? Because that way, if I get disconnected, when I call back, I ask directly for that person by name. They think I already know them, and I'm more likely to get through. But the way that I do the calling with the businesses is I typically start out with a phone call. And so I'll say, okay, I can provide that if somebody will remind me. The way I start out is with the cold call. And what I'll do is I'll introduce myself. I'll talk about Hannah, my daughter, and then I'll tell them about the NCDSA and just sort of the overall message of what NCDSA does for the community. I'll then tell them about the Buddy Walk. And one of the things that I emphasize with these sponsors, a lot of them don't care about getting promotion, but some do. And even the ones that don't care, getting some promotion of it may help them over that hurdle to actually donate. So one of the things I always tell the potential donors is we have over 5,000 Facebook followers. We have over 7,000 email subscribers. And depending on your sponsorship level, your logo could be included on our Facebook page, Instagram, email, things like that. So that'll also help them donate. But after I sort of have the conversation with them, tell them who I am, tell them about our connection to NCDSA and what NCDSA does for the community, I'll typically then tell them about those follower levels to incentivize them a bit. And then I'll tell them about the sponsorship levels as well. And the way I say that to them is our sponsorships range anywhere from $500 to $7,500. And so there's about 7 options within that for you. What I would love to do would be to send you an email that has this information about sponsorships in it. And usually they're always like, yes, send me the info. I'd love to take a look at it. And so what that email then looks like is, hey, John, thank you so much for your time today. And let me tell you about the NCDSA and our biggest fundraiser of the year, the Triangle Buddy Walk. You can learn more about the NCDSA by going here. And then I'll include the link to the NCDSalliance.org website. Then I'll say, as I mentioned on the phone, another piece I say is we have almost 2,000 registrants that show up for the day of the walk. So what I'll say is, you know, as I mentioned to you on the phone, we have almost 2,000 participants at the walk, and I'll give them those other numbers, and then I'll give them a general link to the Buddy Walk website. Then I'll say, I'll then have a link in there that says, as I mentioned before, here are the sponsorship levels. And then I will link to that PDF that's on the DS Stride website that's got the 7 different levels on it. And then I'll basically send a link out too. And I'll always say something like, and by the way, here's a link to our team page. You can see our team fundraising and sort of what we're trying to do. And you get to see a cute picture of my daughter Hannah. And so the reason I do that is because let's say a $500 sponsorship is out of their level. I can't tell you how many people said, hey, Jeff, I can't do the sponsorship level this year, but I can make a donation. And so they'll throw $100, $200, $250, $300. And so giving them that individual link to my team page gives them the opportunity to donate as an individual and not necessarily have to do a sponsorship. So again, in that email, I'm telling them, here's NCDSA link, here's Buddy Walk link, here's the sponsor option link, and here's our team link. And then I always close with, listen, I really appreciate your time and listening to me about this. You know, the NCDSA is changing lives every day. And the only way that we can do that is through the generosity of people like yourself. We would love to have your support. So I send that email out. Now, if it's not September 18th and the walk is October 20th, I will usually give them about a week and a half before I follow up. In this instance, in this time frame, I would follow up probably 3 days later, just because your window is shrinking and you need to sort of speed up that sales process. So typically that follow-up, I will do an email on that follow-up because I don't want to hassle them. Now, if they don't return that second email, then I'm going to get on the phone. And listen, I probably annoy these people sometimes, but they have not yelled at me yet. They haven't been rude yet. I've never gotten any of that. I think the only people that will yell at you are family members. Usually the general public won't yell at you, but you have to be persistent. And I'm a little overboard on this, I will admit it, but I've got a spreadsheet, okay? And in my spreadsheet is column A is the name of the company I contacted. Column B is the first contact with them, the date. Column C is the second contact. And then if they give me a no, I highlight it in red. If they give me a yes, I highlight it in green. I put in their dollar amount. And I just work that list down and I keep working it. And I carve out a little bit of time each day to do it. I probably spent too much time this year, but it is what it is. But that is my process on how I go about reaching out to individuals and corporations. And I'll tell you, let me say one more thing too. So if you've got a corporation that is doing any kind of business, a $500 sponsorship may sound like a lot, but I'm telling you right now, it is not much money to them. It depends on the business, of course, and where they are financially with the health of their business. But often enough, $500 is not a massive lift. And if it isn't something they can afford to do in terms of a sponsorship, then they will often enough do an individual donation. And those vary. But that's sort of how I do it. Now, here's what I would say to you too. So on the individual side, go through your contact list and reach out to people. People want to help. They just don't know to help. But I would also say, like Heather said earlier, man, your kid's dentist. I mean, all of our kids have multiple therapists. I just got one of Hannah's therapists on for $1,000. I had no idea they would give that kind of money. You know, your veterinarian. I called our vet where we board our dog and goes to the vet. And I'm like, hey, this is what we're doing. We bring our dog in there like once a month. We'd love to have your support. Now, they haven't committed yet, but they're on my list for tomorrow to follow up with. So, you know, anybody and everybody, like Heather said, that you do business with, that you interact with, that has a company, especially the companies that their business focuses around children with intellectual disabilities or disabilities. Those are the ones to go after.
Can I put my shirt in my laundry? Yes. Could you something with that clay, please?
No, like.
Jeff and Heather, thank you very much. Is there one more thing you could touch on for us, though? Could you tell us a little bit about thanking your sponsors and donors?
Heather, you want to go first? You want me to go?
You can go.
All right. So what I do is when I get a confirmed sponsorship or donation, you're going to get an email in your inbox that if it's an individual donation, you're going to get an email saying, John donated $25. What I do so I don't forget is I click on because the email address in that email you'll get is highlighted. I'll click right on it right there. And I usually have like a little Word doc on my computer that has a saved thank you in it. And I'll say, hey, John, and then copy and paste and send it off. Sometimes, if I can, I'll add a little sentence just to customize it a little bit. But I always send a thank you for an individual donor as soon as I see that email come in, because I don't want to forget about it. And thanking people is huge, especially if you want them to donate ever again in the future. With corporate sponsors, I will, because typically the dollar amount is higher, I will usually call them and thank them over the phone. You're not going to often enough get an email that fires back to you that says that they donated. So, but I mean, typically you'll get an email from someone at NCDSA telling you, but I typically give them a phone call and just thank them and reiterate how important those dollars are. And what I love to quote is, so like, let's say they, donate $1,000. I always say to them, look, when we got a prenatal diagnosis, we reached out, NCDSA sent a parent mentor to our house that brought a welcome baby bag kit. All of our friends were telling us how sorry they were that, this was happening to us. But the person from NCDSA was the first person outside of our family to say, congratulations on your baby. And I just want you to know that your $1,000 donation just made that happen for 10 other families. And I'm telling you, man, you tell them that, they see the immediate impact of those dollars into the community and really, changing the trajectory for that family, at least short term, if not long term.
You're making me cry
Thanks,
over
Jeff.
here too.
I hope y'all brought tissues. Heather, did you want to add anything to that before we kind of go into one of your sponsors who was nice enough to shoot a video for us?
Yeah, so I, much like Jeff, for the individual donors, I actually do it through the DS Stride app. When you go to the bottom, it has your donations, and you can send a quick thank you through the app. So I use the app a lot for quick things like that. So that's how I send a thank you email to the individual. This year, we've actually talked about for our sponsors, just doing like a framed photo of Ellie from the Buddy Walk to send as a thank you to our bigger sponsors. So nothing we've done yet, but that's just going to be our thank you to our sponsors.
Awesome. And then Heather, I'm going to pause this real fast. Do you want to do just a quick explanation about this, one of your sponsors who was nice enough to film a video for us?
Yeah, so Ashton is the owner of a company, Handpicked and Chosen. If you haven't checked out their website, if you've seen it on NCDSA, go check them out. They will have a table at the Buddy Walk this year. She is actually the daughter of one of my husband's customers. So they're an awesome family. And Ellie actually modeled some of their clothes when she was just a few months old. So they have supported us from the beginning. They're great. So very sweet family, awesome mission. I'm sure she'll talk about in her video.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Ashton Smith and I'm the owner of Handpicked and Chosen. We are a Christian-based bamboo company and we decided to sponsor the North Carolina Down Syndrome Alliance Buddy Walk this year. And some reasons behind that is we so strongly believe that everyone has a purpose, and that is our mission underneath our logo. It's a part of our logo is you have a purpose, because we believe God created each person to have a unique purpose, whatever it is. And we want to partner with someone like the Down Syndrome Alliance to know that people are seen, they're loved, they're cherished and empowered. And that is something that, you know, as a company, we want to align with organizations that believe the same things that we believe. Some ways that it has helped us is being able to market. We are a new and growing brand, so getting seen by people in the community truly does impact us directly as well. So not only are we helping them by giving them the tools financially to be able to, you know, have resources available to new families that, you know, maybe just got a diagnosis, you know, that they have a child on the way with Down syndrome, but to be able to surround them with a community and resources that will help them through that time that can be so unknown. But our company being able to sponsor the Buddy Walk this year, we are super thrilled to be involved and have our hands in the works of everything that's going to be going on. And we know that the Lord is involved and he's got his hands upon all the participants, you know, the families, the sponsors. And some ways though is marketing, and so getting our name on banners or, you know, the t-shirts that everyone has, we're getting our brand seen. And not only that, but there is a you know, a tax credit for being able to sponsor you know, a company like this and give back. So it has helped us, you know, in multiple different ways, but not only has it helped us, it's helped the North Carolina Down Syndrome Alliance. And that is what we so strongly believe in, is giving back to the community where we can, and being involved with people that have the same beliefs and missions that we have. And that is just making every family know that they are loved, they're chosen, and then that they are handpicked to be involved in where they are. The Lord has placed, you know, that child or that person in their life for a reason. And it is, you know, we have seen so many families flourish because of the North Carolina Down Syndrome Alliance, and we just wanted a part of that. So we are super thrilled and excited to see everyone at the Buddy Walk. We appreciate you guys letting us be involved. And we just, little Ellie is who we directly, you know, went with this year, and our family knows them, and she actually was in our first photo shoot for our brand, and our brand so, you know, loves everyone feeling included and just bringing the smile and just like the twinkle in her eye whenever she was there. It's just so powerful. And I hope that this brings a light to everyone, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks so much. I will see you guys at the Buddy Walk.
All right, I'm going to turn it over now. First of all, thank you, Heather and Jeff. There you go. Now they have a team name. We appreciate you sharing all of your tips with us, and we hope that will help you get started, give you a little bit of confidence to give it a try if you haven't, especially going after those sponsors. I know that's new for me because I've relied mostly on individual donors so far, so I'm just dipping my toes into the sponsors, and I think I will have some good tips to be able to be successful in that area now. So fundraising events. Amber and Vicky are here to talk about some of the cool events. If you haven't already noticed this, I think they've been in the Captain's Corner, but I have seen them on Facebook. Both of them have been doing some really cool creative events to raise some funds for the Buddy Walk this season. And so we asked them to come and talk about kind of where they got their ideas and how they've been pulling that off. So Amber and Vicky, take it away.
Sure. Can I start, Amber?
Please do.
Okay. Okay. I'm not as good a speaker as Jeff, so apologies. In my personal experience, I have certainly found that I'm getting a lot more individual donors if there is some kind of incentive, right? So if they're going to possibly win a prize or something, I get a lot more engagement. So something we did this year was I just created a grid that had 50 slots in it. Each slot was $10, and one person was going to win 12 cookies that cost me like $10. So that got a lot of buy-in very quickly. I mean, I think it raised a lot of money, and it sold out within the week. So that was really engaging, and it wasn't, you know, a lot of work on my part. I just made a quick template on Canva. and like I say, I only put in about $10 and it created a lot of engagement and interest. The same place where I bought the cookies is a local business here in Sanford. They're a newer business, so they didn't feel super comfortable making a sponsorship this year. So instead, they offered to host a spirit night for us. So we picked a day. They worked with us and created posters for us and advertised it to all of their customers. And I advertised it on Facebook, and they donated 20% of all sales from that entire day. So again, that was really low effort, but created, a lot of discussion too, because we spent the whole day there and there were a lot of people there that didn't come necessarily for us, just general people from the public. And we talked to a lot of people. We handed out a lot of Buddy Walk flyers, got a lot of interest that way. We've also done, I know that Alyssa made a template and shared it in the Captain's Corner for the sponsor a month or sponsor a day of the month template. We've used that before too. And the same thing, we said one person will win a t-shirt for Jamie's Buddy Walk team. And that sold really quickly too, because I just think people like to earn prizes. I sure do. I'll do a lot for an incentive. So I think that a lot of my friends and family will also. So that's what I've got. Amber can take it away.
Thank you, Vicki. I think in the same vein as Vicki, last year, we did a lot of incentives and prizes as well. So we got on and ordered car decals and team water bottle stickers. And then also Rainey was painting little itty bitty canvases and then some larger canvases, took pictures of her painting those, and then put those all out as incentives for raffles and fundraisers. So if you reached a certain level, if you donated, $50, you got a package sent to you with team stickers. If you donated $100, you got a car decal and the team stickers. And then the raffles were, just various prizes various prices, depending on how many tickets you wanted. And then you got to choose your canvas that Rainey painted. And those went over really well. We actually did a table at church with all of her canvases, and they sold like hotcakes at church. So that went over really, really well. And it's fun for her because she loves painting. So that was something pretty great. This year we did aloe plants. We have one aloe plant that just makes 1 million babies every year. So actually Vicki and her son Jamie came over and painted little pots with us. We potted the aloe plants in them, and then we just put them in front of our house and put the QR code out, and it linked directly to our fundraising page, put a little picture out about what the NCDSA does. Here's Jamie and Rainey painting, and charge $15 a pot, and people end up donating more than the pot itself. And the aloe didn't cost us anything. One of our major fundraising event that we do just as a team every year is a night out at our local pizza place. And this is a place like Heather and Jeff were talking about that we frequent often. And we are there all the time. My husband has been actually going to this place since he was in high school. So we approached them and we just asked hey, would you all be interested in doing a fundraiser, hosting a fundraising night with us and donating a portion of your sales? And we kind of left it up to them to discuss how much they wanted to donate as a percentage of the sales. They decided 10%, which is, I would say, typical is 10%. Vicki, I think your restaurant did 20%, which is great, but I would say 10% is kind of usually where people start. And then the bonus is, and how we really kind of sold it to them is we will do all of the advertising. We will go out and pound the pavement, put out flyers. We will bring a crowd in. We're going to bring a crowd in for you on one of your slower nights. So they have us pick any day but a weekend. So Sunday through Thursday, they have us pick any day but a weekend. And we do a trade-off on one of their slower nights where they're not making a lot of sales. We are sure to bring in a crowd. And that really helps them in their sales, pays off for them. And then they get this tax write-off at the end of the night and cut us a check. And of course, we promote them like crazy. And it just works out really well for them. We take the time to be sure to decorate and put up signs, put up information. Our family's there throughout the day. I typically go for lunch, and then we bring back the family in the evening. This year we had Ramses Jr., which UNC donated Ramses Jr.'s time, and they came out and took pictures. Kids loved him. That was a big hit. I'm gonna fingers crossed that we get him every year, and high-fiving all night. And we made like a little sign. Yeah, so like anything that you can do to like really pump up the restaurant or whomever's hosting your event, and it can be any sort of resources you have, car washes, if you know somebody. I think car wash is probably a really great place, coffee shops that can host a day for you. And then you do the job of pumping up the event and making their sales really big for that day. I think that they're always going to be willing to host that again. And I think also the important thing is that we show up to each other's events. So not only are we engaging and promoting that and having our children there, and they're seeing our children and our families there, but also that the community is seeing that as well, and how engaged we are, and then inviting people to join your team and come out for Buddy Walk Day. So that's typically what we do. And of course, we send all the thank yous, make all the posts, let everybody know how much you raised, do the social media posts, post pictures, tag the restaurant, tag any of the other sponsors that came, anything like that, to help promote, just to be sure that they're getting that free publicity. Oh my gosh, publicity as well. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. So just so I tie in my little graphics here, I loved hearing all the ways that they were thinking outside the box. And I definitely took from that Vicki will do anything for incentives. So it's great info. And just a lot of, I think one of the things that you both did was you were both kind of smart in the way that you presented these opportunities, not just to kind of get your activity together, but when you're marketing that to get folks involved, I think that that's had a little pizzazz there.
Wait, let me finish my music first.
All right, let me I'll mute there. Okay, great. So thank you, Amber and Vicki. I am going to keep Vicki rolling. She is going to talk to us about an area where she's very successful in recruiting her team members to join her team. So Vicki, if you will share some of your tips for that, please.
Sure. I mean, this one really wasn't super, or hasn't been super hard for us. Obviously, most of you know I'm not from here. I'm from Scotland, but we still have my entire family join Jamie's team. So although they're virtually participating, obviously they can't unfortunately be here for the event. They mark out time on that day. They wear their Down syndrome swag. They usually take a walk, like they'll walk around town, or like they'll go out for lunch or something, and they'll try and start conversations with people just to raise awareness, because obviously this is, you know, our main fundraiser. We want to raise all that money, but it's not just about the money. It's also about spreading awareness of Down syndrome. So that's a really important piece. When we have our family or friends join, they're also more likely to make a donation, which is great. So the larger the team, I think when you're signing up, you know, it asks you to make a donation if you want to, or buy the t-shirt. So that's really good. Like Christy said at the beginning, I basically just tell everyone this is a fun tailgating day, and we're going to bring food, we're going to have decorations, there's bounce houses for the kids. It's basically like a big free fun day. So why would you not want to come? It's on a weekend, it's in the Triangle, like it's hitting a lot of key points. So basically we just invite everyone that we work with, all of our family, whether they're near or far. But I think that you definitely shouldn't underestimate the virtual participants. Although they're not actually with us, they can help to spread our message, and they can also help to raise our funds by making donations from afar.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you, Vicki, for sharing that so I also wanted to call out that hopefully you all have access to the chat. I know we were having some issues with that before, but I'm watching the chat on my phone as we go, and there's some really great information being shared in there and best practices. So I hope you're able to check that out, and we can share those notes too, so you have those. All right, thanks, Vicki. All right, Amy, can I turn it over to you to just kind of walk us through our incentives this year?
Yes, I think, Liza, did you have a comment?
Before we move on, Vicki, do you want to mention having other new families join your tailgate?
Yes, I do. So every year, actually, this is our 3rd year, we have just through local connection and us knowing people that have younger families, or maybe they don't have family close by and they're not super confident creating their own team yet, although obviously I'm encouraging them to create their own team. Often, in fact, every year we've had other members join our team who have Down syndrome also. So opening our team to other people in the community too, if they just don't want to take the effort to make their team, or they feel pressured about it, the fundraising and all that part, we've invited them to join us if they didn't feel comfortable doing it themselves. But we've also been able to, this year especially, we got 2 people to sign up their own team. But yeah.
Awesome. I get the fun part, so I'm going to dive into the incentives, which are for you all as team captains. So we have a lot of, I think, really fun ideas and things for you all to know about. So the first one you'll see across the top, and this is for all of these levels starting at $1,000 and on up, we have Walk of Fame signs. So in one of the first photos that Christy had here in the PowerPoint, you could see them sort of lining the walk path. Those of you who've been here before obviously are aware, but you can submit a photo of your child, whatever photo of your choice, or it could be of your whole family, and that will be on a sign set up to line the path. And then ideally every year you participate, you hit that mark, and then we can make sure that you're included there as well. So you can kind of see the progression of your child and their journey over the years and how far they've come, which is, I think, kind of a cool aspect to have there. But if you do hit the $1,000 mark, please make sure you get your photos to us also, so we can make sure that you're included when we do those orders. The next thing, which starts at the $1,500 level, will be a canvas tote bag. This is last year's bag, I believe, or a prior year. So we'll have a slightly different one this year, but it's a nice canvas tote bag. We all know we can use those for all kinds of things, like I keep them in the back of my car. So that's starting at the $1,500 level. At the $2,500 level, we have the Buddy Walk signs. Hopefully all of you are in our Team Captains page on Facebook. If you join that, it's a great place to chat with other captains and ask questions, but we also post things like signing of yards. So you can see there, it's a great big Buddy Walk sign so that anyone driving through the neighborhood is aware that you're participating in this event. And it again raises that awareness, hopefully prompts them to ask questions and to look up what is Buddy Walk, or to speak to you next time they're out for a walk. So that's really fun, and you would have that in your yard for a week starting at the $2,500 level. The 3210 level will get your team name listed on the Buddy Walk t-shirts, and we do hundreds of t-shirts every year, so you guys would be listed on that if you meet that level, and you also would get food vouchers. Exciting change this year, we're going to be bringing in some food trucks, which we haven't done for a bit, so we'll have some options there, including a pizza truck, a Sweet Frogs ice cream truck. The Knights of Columbus will be there grilling hot dogs and hamburgers, and so the food vouchers will be used at the Knights of Columbus section, where they'll be cooking up for us, and 100% of those proceeds are going back to NCDSA. So we'll have food vouchers there. At the next level, the 5,000, we have VIP parking passes. So again, those of you who've been are familiar, but those who are new, Sug Farm is this large field area. We do expect a lot of attendees. We're say about 2,000. So parking is significant, but if you hit that level, then you do have sort of a priority parking area where you don't have to walk quite as far to get into the event space. So that's another perk. You also get early entry for setup at 12. If you hit the $5,000 level. Unfortunately, we can't accommodate if you don't hit that level, but you're welcome at 1 when everything else kicks off. But those who meet that level will be able to enter early to set up their Team 10 areas. Also at the $5,000 level, this is kind of fun. We have Fathead this year. So this is one my daughter has for volleyball, but your child's face can be on there. You would have 2. So we would contact you if you hit this level to get a nice straight on photo of your child in high resolution so you can get your foam board to cheer on your kiddo. Let's see. And then the next level would be the $7,500 level. And that one is going to be receiving a tent set up for your team at the Buddy Walk. And that includes a 10 by 10 spot. I'm sorry, so not the tent, it's the reserve spot on the field with a team sign, the 10 by 10 tent, okay, table and 6 chairs. So that is all included for you when you hit that $7,500 level. And then the top tier, the creme de la creme, that is the ultimate tent gating package, which means you get the 10 by 10 spot, you get the tent, the table, you get chairs, you have a snack, a plethora of snacks to choose from, a cooler with drinks, your team sign, a bouquet of flowers, and then volunteers to help you with setup as well as you're taking your items to and from. But I think the best part and what everybody really wants is the golf cart for celebration. So those teams who hit the $10,000 mark do have a reserved golf cart parked by their tent, which is a wonderful option too for toting things back and forth or just zipping around, or the kids want to go cruise around and explore, hop in your golf cart and do it. So that's a ton of fun, and I think the most appealing, I'm sure, but we're excited to be able to offer these incentives. And also, I would add this, we want your feedback. So especially after the event, because we're all swamped right now, but tell us what things really were motivating for you all and what you enjoyed, because we want your feedback. And we're excited to see you guys out there and to thank you for the hard work that you guys do.
Thank you, Amy. I can attest to the golf cart being an especially interesting incentive for everybody. That is our favorite.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm going to turn it over to Tori, who is going to walk you through, as a first-time Buddy Walk team captain herself. She's going to walk you through a few things that she wanted to call out from our resources to really help you get started if this is your first time. Thanks, Tori.
Hi guys, good evening. So like Christy's saying, I am new to all of this. And so when I was taking a look at everything like you guys, especially if you're a first timer, I feel like some of this can be very overwhelming. So some things that I just wanted to highlight, we've already talked about some of them. Jeff went over some of them and things like that, but just to wrap it up, there is a resource packet. The resource packet can be found on the website, on the DS Stride website. And then when you go under Team Captain, you can see it circled here. It says 2024 Team Captain Resource Packet. And so a lot of these things that I'm going to be talking about are coming straight from that, the resource packet, as well as there's, I think it's down there, Team Captain FAQ. So a lot of these things are coming from there. The first couple things is that there are sample letters as well as email templates already in the guide. So just keeping it simple and not recreating the wheel, definitely adding some personal touches to those, and tweaking them, but they're already there for you to use. We've kind of already talked about it, but you know, using the Facebook fundraiser as an option. I know there's a way, if you did not do that originally when you set up your team, there's a way to go back in there and still link that and share that on your Facebook. And while we're talking about social media, I'm not sure, I don't use Twitter anymore, but maybe some people use Twitter. It was also suggested in the resource guide to share the link to straight on your Twitter if you happen to tweet. Is it even called Twitter anymore? Actually, now that I think about it, is it X? I am sorry, guys. I am not with the times. Guess we should update that to not say Twitter anymore. But you guys get what I'm saying. Some other tips that were in the resource guide we also talked about with fundraising was, and I thought this was a great idea. Like one of the ideas that had was like asking your gym to potentially host like a benefit workout. for like donation based. And I thought that was a very clever idea. It's pretty simple, but there are some ideas of like fundraising tips and tricks in there as well. As well as things about it talked about last day for team incentives being October 13th, and just a reminder that the online registration closes on October 16th. And then a couple of other things that I found very helpful. I helped, I guess some of you know Emma. I helped Emma sign up for our T21 club team. And what I did for her was I made her own QR code that linked directly to her page or the T21 Club page. And what that allowed her to do, and she's gotten a lot of donations off of that, is it's allowed her to take the piece of paper to her friends and things or at her workplace, and she could like put it up on a cork board or something. But people can scan that QR code and it can go right to where to put in your credit card information or even join the team. So they has the donate there or the join the team, and they can click what they want to do. But I just thought that that was a really clever like idea, and that's actually been really helpful for her. You know, so if anybody needs help with that, I think we're going to send out the link to a free QR code generator, and all you do is take like the hyperlink, the www dot, and then you use your unique hyperlink, and then you copy and paste that to the QR code generator, and it will, for free, without having to put a bunch of stuff in, it will generate you a free QR code that you can therefore put on a piece of paper or throw it in Canva and make a cute little graphic, if you have that kind of time. And then another thing that I did not realize until actually, it was embarrassing to say, probably a couple weeks, you know, after I got into my new position, everything, that there is an app. So the app is called Dia. You search it by searching Stride Team Snapshot. And this is what it looks like. So this is very helpful. And you can actually, I'm not sure if it's a setting that you always have to do, but you can turn on notifications for having new team members and donations. You would log onto the app and you click the gear icon, and then you toggle on to turn on notifications that way. And that was something because I wasn't receiving notifications that people were donating and things like that. So please make sure you go on there and everything is set up the way that you want it. Because that can be a really big asset to you to know and to thank people for donating and things like that. So I hope that was helpful. I think we're Christy.
Yeah, no, thank you, Tori. Actually, before we get on to this, we will move on to Betsy John doing some of the Q&A, and then we will finish up with a summary of everything we've discussed. But I just want to second what Tori said, that the app is something that I downloaded maybe a couple of years ago now, and it is the tool that I use. I'm probably in there about every day through the height of Buddy Walk season, just taking a look at like where our team is ranking, taking a look at who's donated or who's joined the team. So I find it really a great app, very useful, and something that you can do a lot with. So I hope you'll consider going ahead and downloading it, because I do think it makes a lot of your Buddy Walk team management a lot simpler. So Betsy John, I will turn it over to you. Do you want to go over anything that we have seen in the chat this evening? Any big questions?
Yeah, so I have hit all the main questions. The one thing is, I just wanted to clarify, is there kind of that script? I know we talked about the Buddy Walk Captain Packet does have the emails and the thank yous, but I also did hear Team Limeberry gave us possibly a cold calling script for those of us that might be a little nervous. So that was something that came out of the chat as a possible resource we could get out to our families or add to that Captain Packet. Other than that, I also did want to give Liz Sacho a shout out. Don't forget to invite your classrooms, your community groups, your youth groups, your Girl Scouts, your all the things to also join your teams. Remember, they can join for free and then opt in for what they want to donate. And as well, if you get pushback, policy is across Wake County as a school administrator, as long as everybody's invited, the flyer can go out. And so just know that you are open to send those flyers across the school sector and in your classrooms, as long as everybody is receiving it. That is how the policy is written. So that is a way to get in. And it's also a loop back for when we do our World Down Syndrome Day kits. If you've already had that community built, that your school would probably be willing to open that up coming next spring. So I do want to take some time for additional questions that you have at this time. If you'd like to just raise your hand and we'll go through those. We are going to capture everything that was shared. We have this summing up document we're going to go over, as well as you will receive this recording, all these links, the video also of Heather Harrell's sponsor and kind of why they did what they did, and all these resources to kind of help take you to that next level. As an 8-year mama, I have not downloaded said app, so I will be a first timer getting apps set up as I get into this final countdown to give those teams some rocking and rolling. But yeah, so I'm going to go first to Casey because your hand has been up. I don't know if it's just from the beginning, giving a shout out. If you have a question, if not, we'll go to Jeff after that to see if we can confirm a possible for calling.
Yeah, it was just from earlier.
Okay, that's what I thought. Woo, woo.
So in honor of Buddy Walk, if anybody on this call wants a buddy on a call to a business sponsor and wants me to join that call with them, I'd be more than happy to do that. I'm going to put my phone number and email address in the chat, and just, feel free. It wouldn't take more than probably 5 minutes of us talking beforehand. And then, maybe 10 minutes with the call. So if you got 15 minutes, you want some help, I'd be happy to do it.
Thank you, Mr. President. And just to give him a slight shout out, he is our board president and champion of this work, as well as our other board members that are here and on this call tonight. Amber and Heather, thank you for being here, as well as Vicky. So just thank you. Thank you,
Tara.
team. And Tara. Oh, thank you. Yes. Don't let me forget anybody.
I think that we also should take a minute to go over our challenge to Team Lineberry.
Dun, dun,
dun. Heather,
Dun, dun, dun.
Ellie, Team Ellie's
There-
extras.
I think I have a question. I would like to pose a question to the group. What is Challenge Team Lineberry? Please expand.
So we've issued a friendly challenge to anybody that can unseat Team Lineberry for the top fundraising spot, which they have had for as long as I've been part of the organization. I don't know how long you all been in the top team fundraising spot. But if anybody can unseat them from the top spot this year, they get to pie the president, who happens to be Mr. Lineberry.
Jeff Lineberry. I like this idea. I'm going to do some storytelling on Facebook this week. Alyssa, get ready. We're going to throw this out there. But thank you, Team Lineberry, for championing the work and giving us this incentive as even a possibility, because every dollar counts. Every dollar is actively, as our team can tell you, at work right now. We are reaching to Spanish mamas. We are on IEP consults. We are calendaring. We are volunteering. We are doing all the things. So thank you, board, for championing this work. Thank you, team, for being here tonight. Any other big questions for the group? And again, if anything comes up afterwards, you can email at any time, text at any time. We are here to support you, to support our families across our state. But this is the best day of the year. I do not have anything against Disney, but this is my Disney World. This is my magical moment. This is what it's about. And so I'm just excited to get to learn and meet even more families, maybe see one more booth, right, Christy? I might get halfway around this year. We'll see. But it is just a bucket filling kind of day. So the more community we can get involved, the better. Any final questions?
I do have one.
Yeah, go
It's
for it.
a little off subject from the fundraising, because we are going to try to go out and do some of that in the next couple of weeks. It's the first time we've ever been. The company that I work for, they've also have a tent for vending. But I was wondering, with me being the team captain, am I able to set up a tent out there as well for all of the people that are coming to walk with us?
That is an absolutely. So bring a tent, bring lawn chairs, bring a Bojangles tailgate. Some people do a potluck. So it's really whatever your team wants to do. Think about when you go to a Go Pirates ECU game, where my Wolf Pack do. When you go to a tailgate, some people are
Right.
grilling out some ribs. I don't think we can have grills. So hold on that. We will have food trucks. I don't think there can be anything. But people have done like a potluck dinner. There's always a little bit of Bojangles. Some people have done Chick-fil-A platters. So yes, there will be space for you to pop up your own tent, your own table. If you want to go tablescape and decorate, we do also give out awards, and some of that awards are spirit and just coming with bringing that community and that spirit and that team, not necessarily always just the dollar. But yes.
And then the last one, for the registrations, when the people arrive, is there going to be somewhere where they register as well, even if they've done it online?
Yes. So if they've registered, they will just come through and check in and receive the materials. Team captain, which I'm assuming is you, will already have a packet with all of your team materials at said tent. So you can tell your team to either meet you at the tent. As well, we will have day of registration, and our champion Liza was a part of that process last year and is working out the kinks to try and make it even more successful this year. So people can sign up as day of registrants as well. And also don't forget what Vicki mentioned, even people that can't be with us at the event, but are committing to be a part of our community, they can sign up for your team virtually as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, and if more questions come, please email, text, call. We are here and just one click away. And I did have another question came in about incentives. Remember, they do have different deadlines. So the t-shirt incentive has closed. 9/30 is the next deadline for incentives, if I'm not
We
mistaken.
can actually still do t-shirts because my vendor this year has told me he needs a 2-week turnaround. So we're going to do end of the month for t-shirts. I'm going to push it as far as I can for y'all. So we're going to go to the end of the month for t-shirts.
I'm still trying to get in there. I'm still trying to get in there.
Yeah, you still have time, Betsy John. So y'all push for that. I'm going to give you as much time as I possibly can. My vendor's working with me there. So you do have time. I wanted to touch a couple things. I know it's uncomfortable to fundraise for a lot of people. It's difficult. It's people's money. It's a big deal. But just remember, this is an important cause. You guys know better than anybody what impact this has. And I think that's what we have to just remember is we're not just asking for money in our pocket. We're asking for money to help the underserved and the people across our community who don't know that there are other people out there who have a child with Down syndrome and don't have those connections. And that is worth it. So if we can just convey that to these sponsors and donors and individuals, if we can get that message across, they're going to want to support a cause like that. So there's no shame in asking for support in that sort of an instance. And we also take donor stewardship very seriously. That's important to us. So if they have any questions about finances or 990, send them my way. Happy to talk to them about that. That's something I'm very proud of, that we do take that very seriously and the team does as well. So happy to answer any questions. My other thing would just be persistent. I got my hospital system on board, but it was not without many, many phone calls and emails. Like Jeff has a system. Sometimes they get busy, they might kind of dodge you, but if you can keep tracking them down until you get an answer, you have a really good chance. I mean, don't let them wear you out. Keep asking.
All right, great. Thank you. Betsy John, did we have any other questions? I thought maybe Jeff had raised his hand.
Well, I was just going to say, sometimes they'll sponsor you just to get you to leave them alone, honestly.
We'll take it.
That's
we'll
right.
take any dollar we can get.
Yep. But I was just going to tell you guys, we just had our 100th team join the Buddy Walk. So while we were on this call. So that's pretty amazing.
That's
Triple
awesome.
digits. So awesome. But yes, that has addressed all the questions that came through the chat. Again, we'll recap anything that has been asked throughout this night. That's going to also become an additional FAQ question. We'll also give you that my buddy contact of our awesome board president that is willing to help buddy you through those calls to the sponsors, and as well as the incentive to possibly pie him in the face. Go, let's go team, let's go team.
So Betsy John, we just got Yeah, I was just gonna say we got one last question, and I think
Yeah, so Cindy asked about the postcards. We do have, I don't have anything at me at my desk, but we do have some cards for Buddy Walk promotion. I have plenty at the office. So if you would like any of those to take, leave at restaurants, leave at doctor's offices, businesses, by all means, let us know that you want to swing by. We'll just make sure there's a staff member at the office, and you're welcome to take those. There, Betsy John has one. It's fuzzy, but you get the gist. It has a QR code, and you would just want to say, make sure you put my team in there when you drop it in, but it's a great resource tool.
All right, so we are going to turn it over to Liza to bring it home. She put together this fantastic slide. There's a couple of these that are basically the things that if you take anything from it, these two slides should sum up all of the points that we discussed this evening. So Liza, let me turn it over to you to just do a quick high level on this so folks know what they can take a look at here as they go and start putting together their strategy for fundraising and getting their team together.
All right. Thank you. Thank you everyone for being with us tonight. I'll be fast so we can all get those kids to bed if they're not already there. And thank you to our experts for coming to speak. Just to kind of summarize, so we had Jeff and Heather talking to us about engaging our community sponsors and just donors. So some of the key points that I took away, number one, how to approach those individual donors. You can use things like Facebook fundraisers, using the DS Stride email kind of component to reach out to past donors and team members, and also just sending out those individual emails and making the phone calls. In terms of approaching sponsors, Jeff explained and Heather both explained making that initial contact and then how to follow up. And it seems like that was my key takeaway. You have to be persistent. Tracking your donors is important, keeping good records to know where you're at in that persistence pathway. And then finally, thanking and following up with your donors afterwards. Vicki and Amber talked to us about fundraising events. They both talked about considering your resources, looking at what is available in the community, and really thinking outside of the box for some creative fundraising opportunities. Amber, I took some of your words exactly. She said, create the hype and make it happen. And I also heard a lot of talk about incentives, really incentivizing people to attend. Advertise, using your social media and just pounding the pavement, get the people out to your fundraising events if possible. That will kind of strengthen that loop back to the community businesses that are willing to have you host events. On the day of, be the hostess with the mostest, decorate, things of that nature, help everyone to feel welcome and excited, and hopefully leave a nice donation. And then finally, post-event, again, thank, and debrief. So keep an eye, keeping track of what went well with your event for the future. Vicki shared with us about how to recruit some additional team members, obviously starting by inviting your friends and colleagues. I love Vicki's idea, pushing the virtual participation. I know I'm new to the area. I know that's kind of common here. It's hard for me to find team members because I don't really have much of a community outside of the Down syndrome community. You'll all be there anyway. So I'm actually going to use that takeaway and ask some of my family and friends in New Jersey if they would like to kind of get the word out about Down syndrome, where they live. And then finally, also love that idea of inviting new families, people who might not be in a position to create a team of their own, to come join our team. One last page. Thank you. Amy talked about the team incentives. That's the graphic you want to look for. There's a few different places you can find it. If you need it, reach out. We will get it to you. But that's, the graphic that explains everything. And finally, Tori mentioned some first-timer tips. We talked about using a QR code generator, the Team Captain resource guide. It's easy to kind of forget about that, but when in doubt, if you look there, there's actually kind of a lot of information tucked into that resource guide. Download that Stride Team Snapshot app. That's kind of a mouthful, but if you haven't downloaded it yet, you might want to do that. And then finally, also on the website is the Team Captain Frequently Asked Questions page. That has some specific information. I don't think we looked at it, but if you don't know how to enter a donation, or you want to change a t-shirt size, or kind of the nitty-gritty pieces of being a team captain, a lot of those kinds of things are answered within that FAQ. Or you can always reach out to any of us at NCDSA. And that's it.
Thank you, Liza. You did an outstanding job of giving us a nice summary in a very short amount of time. So that was amazing. I just put my own email. Amy has done the same. So just so it's very easy to get to the point where you have a question and you're not even sure like what category that would be in or where to start looking for it. And so if you're lost, please just don't hesitate to reach out. If I don't have the answer to the question, then I can route you to the right answer. And Amy has also provided her email. I think Jeff provided his email and his cell phone number. So I think that the major takeaway for you is just know that you're not alone in this. You have a community of folks behind you who are working toward the same goal, and that they're very happy to help you meet your goals because it helps our entire community. So just don't hesitate to reach out to folks who are also doing the team captain thing and just see what ideas they have or what tips they have for you, because we all want you to be as successful as possible. All right, and I think Tori and Betsy John have their information in there too, so you can reach out to any of us.
Or you can mention info@ncdsalliance.org and find me. I just didn't get to type it.
Betsy John, did you take control of the I should have known that was coming. Thank you very much for that. And please help us get meet Amber's challenge so that we can pie Jeff in the face. Are we doing it at the Buddy Walk, Amber? If that happens in front of everybody on the stage?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, we hadn't made a particular plan, but I think that's the best place to do it.
I will say Heather got another $5,000 sponsor while we were on this call, so she's edging up there.
Uh-oh, Jeff.
Oh, let's go.
It's the final.
She's beating me right now.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah, I can't.
That's
wait
why
see
she
what
had to
that
go.
goes.
She was like, I gotta make
Yeah.
these cold calls.
I gotta seal the steel.
She's getting the edge on you while you're still on this call.
energized.
She's at the grocery store buying a pie.
She's prepping. Oh, awesome. All right. Well, we will share this information with you and the recording with everybody who's registered so you can refer back to this. But again, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And I'm sure anybody who's been speaking would be a great resource too, as well as I'm sure you know some friends too that have done this Buddy Walk before. So just let any of us know if there's anything we can do to help. And besides that, we just can't wait to see you on October 20th for our big party. So thank